Here in Mexico, the culture, or is it tradition, is alive to this day. The sacred mushroom, the flower of the earth, Los Niños Santos, or holy children, the flesh of the gods. All these names are given to hallucinogenic mushrooms. For some they are a cult, but the law considers them a drug, forbidden fruit. It's an unlikely background for the man who would revolutionize attitudes to the sacred mushroom. As the founder of modern research into mushrooms, Gordon Wasson also became the unwilling founder of the psychedelic movement. Yet this is where he came from. A New York banker, the son of a clergyman, a gentleman of the old school. Gordon Wasson, the founder of ethnomycology, the modern science of mushrooms and people. Psychedelic drugs, trips to other realms of consciousness. A way of life in the 60s is now being rediscovered. For sale alongside peyote cacti and guarana bars, magic mushrooms, freshly picked, 30 grams for 25 guilders. Even today, a shop like this can exist only in the Netherlands, with its tradition of liberal drug laws. Several kilos of fresh mushrooms are sold over the counter daily, and they're locally grown. The search for hallucinogenic mushrooms is as old as humankind. But as they were taboo in the West, all knowledge of their magic was deeply buried for centuries. The man who unearthed the mushroom was an American of all people, a citizen of a mushroom-hating country who had married a woman from a mushroom-loving one, Russia.
I think it sort of just happened. We had this question as to why was it such an important part of my mother's life. And it wasn't an important part of his life.
Gordon Wasson erzählt ja, wie überhaupt auf die Pilze gekommen ist. Als mit seiner Verlobten, mit seiner Frau im Wald spazieren ging, rannte sie von ihm weg plötzlich und in den Wald, kniete nieder und war ganz in Ekstase. Und er ging nach und sagte, was hast du da? Und da kniete sie vor Pilzen. Er sagte, was ist das? Ist er giftig? Totst du? Und sagte, nein, das ist wunderbar, schau, wie diese wunderbaren Pilze, diese Kinder, Pilzkinder und so weiter. Und da hat er gesagt, ja, das ist merkwürdig. Und da haben sie angefangen zu untersuchen, eben die Bedeutung der Pilze in den Kulturen. Dieses Erlebnis, mit dem hat es angefangen.
Gordon and Valentina Wasson began writing a mushroom cookbook together. This eventually led to a body of work which is unique to this day, a comparative scientific study of mushrooms. They continued their research alongside their regular jobs for more than 30 years. It was the research into Russia and its mushrooms which led them to the sacred mushroom. Tirelessly, they followed up every clue, speaking to a wide variety of people around the world. They analyzed the paintings of Hieronymus Bosch as thoroughly as they did the tales of a Russian peasant, or the subtle hints contained in an Italian mosaic. Eventually, everything pointed to the possibility that the magic mushroom was still being used in certain rituals, and that these rituals were taking place on their doorstep in Mexico. In 1955, the Wassons traveled to the Mazatec Highlands. They took a mule path to the small mountain town of Huautla de Jimenez in northern Oaxaca. Gordon Wasson and his wife Valentina had a clear purpose. They wanted to find the holy mushroom and experience it.
I had certainly was on the trips with my father when we went to Mexico, and I was quite young, in my early teens at this point. And so the whole trip was really an adventure. And to get to a country where we had to be careful about drinking the water, and what would happen is we would go into the town and we would ride in, you know, on the mule. And we stayed in a small room with sleeping bags, and when we would brush our teeth in the morning, that would be quite a sight to the Indians. They had no idea what we were doing, and I was quite taken aback to have a whole audience as I would do this. But we were very serious about finding out about the mushroom and where they were growing, and then to participate in one of the veladas, one of the reasons for the mushroom rite.
It was Maria Sabina, a Mazatec shaman, who gave Gordon Wasson some of the flesh of the gods. He became the first outsider to participate in a velada and to taste the mushroom himself.
All that you see during this night has a pristine quality. The landscape, the edifices, the carvings, the animals, they look as though they came straight from the maker's workshop. This newness of everything, it is as though the world had just dawned. All these things you see with an immediacy of vision that leads you to say to yourself, now I am seeing for the first time, seeing direct, without the intervention of mortal eyes.
Gordon Wasson was deeply impressed by Maria Sabina. She saw mushrooms as a kind of medicine. To her, the mushroom spoke of a world of saints, of the dead. It came from the realm of the gods. Through her, the mushroom spoke to the sick, offering revelation and healing. For Maria Sabina, the Catholic faith had merged with her Mazatec traditions. The conquistadores had tried to purge the Mazatecs of their pagan rituals in the name of the cross. The mushroom rituals persisted, however, and this tradition lived on through the shaman.
I knew Maria Sabina, who was a poet, a woman who could create a marvelous atmosphere of incantation, of poetry. I remember her clapping her hands and saying, I am the woman spider, I am the woman earth, I am the woman mushroom, I am the woman moon, I am the woman rain, I am the woman reindeer, I am the woman dog, I am the woman sun. She went on like this to create the most fantastic atmosphere of poetry and communion.
Es wurde gesungen, es wurde geklatscht, es war eine ekstatische Atmosphäre. Und ich hatte auch das Gefühl, die jungen Frauen, die haben also manchmal in ihrem Gesang so fast geschluchzt, ekstatisch. Und ich habe das Gefühl, da ist irgendetwas, auch eine sexuelle Erregung bei diesen jungen Frauen drin gewesen. Das dauerte also bis am Morgen.
Women once used a magic ointment on their bodies. This not only made them feel desire, it helped them to fly, once a toadstool had been added to the ointment. The sensuous, ecstatic, and visionary powers of hallucinogenic substances were well known until the Middle Ages. But by this time, wise women with knowledge of certain types of plants were persecuted as witches by the church. The Inquisition made sure that none of their knowledge of magic survived. Once again, it was the agents of power who tried to keep the news of Wasson's mushroom experience from the public.
On Wasson's second trip back to Huautla to confirm the mushrooms, he actually was accompanied by someone who was in the pay of the American Central Intelligence Agency. They were very interested in these mind-altering plants and substances. And in fact, had it not been for the fact that Albert Hofmann was working very quickly to publish the structure of psilocybin, it was the intent of the CIA to hold it as a secret compound only for their use. It shows that governments are perfectly aware of the social importance and implication of these mind-altering substances.
But the CIA's efforts achieved very little. In 1957, Gordon Wasson published an article about his ecstatic encounters with Mexican magic mushrooms in Life magazine. The story was even promoted on the cover as mushrooms that cause strange visions. For the first time, a huge reading public learned about magic mushrooms. After this, there was no turning back.
Well, it is possible that the world will be richer because of this in different ways, unexpected ways. We are a nation, the United States, is a nation of, I guess you call them mycophobes, people who don't trust mushrooms. We have the word toadstool, bad, negative, poisonous. And Wasson had the joy of discovering these fungi of nature. And he brought them out into our consciousness, he brought them out into a area of recognition that was not good or evil. It was just unknown and curiosity inspiring. And I think he opened up a large area of inquiry that will never be closed. And in this sense, I think the world is much richer for this discovery, this presentation of his.
The article in Life brought notoriety to Maria Sabina's hometown. In the 60s, it became a favorite destination for people from all over the world searching for meaning. Prominent members of the Beat generation trekked to Huautla. For the hippies, it was a Mexican Mecca. Murals depict Maria Sabina as a priestess. Her name is everywhere. Her fame won her few friends. The many foreigners disrupted the life of the town and upset people with their crude behavior. Even nowadays, most visitors to the town have only one thing in mind: the magic mushroom.
Everything good.
Maria Sabina appeared in all kinds of publications.
My father was always very upset that the hippies and other people came and used the mushrooms for having highs and experiences, as opposed to, remember, this is very sacred to the Mexican Indians. This was their religion.
The mushroom is still part of their religion. The market square of Huautla has changed very little since the 50s. Women selling herbs can still supply what's needed for a velada. The other mushroom healers found it hard to forgive Maria Sabina for having told a foreigner about the flesh of the gods. These days, however, the local people accept foreign visitors quite readily.
You don't have to let negative experiences with courses and gurus stop you from finding your true self. To break the code of this matrix, you have to go on a self-discovery journey, and there are people and resources to help you find the path. Finally Detached and their self-healing mushroom retreats have a proven track record with guaranteed results due to the private, all-inclusive experience and intimately guided journey. This experience ensures you get the attention, support, and guidance you need to positively transform your life in all areas with the help of magic mushrooms. Now you can take concepts you've heard of like the law of attraction, self-mastery, self-healing, and unlock the key to understanding the connection between all of them. This is like biohacking on steroids. Start learning about the education yourself and let the mushrooms show you the way. Don't wait any longer for change. Start discovering your true self with us at Finally Detached. Get started by signing up for your free call with our lead facilitator today. Your journey awaits.
Aurora, Maria Sabina's daughter, follows in her mother's footsteps. She too is now a curandera, a healer. The patient and the curandera always take the mushrooms together. Beforehand, the healer fasts and is sexually abstinent. The Niños Santos, the holy children, are only ever taken during such rituals. Gringos, weary of civilization, who take mushrooms to expand their consciousness, seem strange to the Mazatecs.
Ella pensaba, María Sabina, que todos eran como una especie de guaso. Todos para ella, pues eran como seguidores de guaso. Decía María Sabina. Yo le preguntaba, y en ese tiempo te visitó mucha gente, ¿verdad? Y decía María Sabina, sí. ¿Y qué querían? Ella decía, vienen a buscar a Dios. Todos ellos vienen a buscar a Dios. Y yo no me puedo oponer ahora a atenderlos.
Mushroom lovers these days borrow from various traditions while consuming the hallucinogenic fungi. Here we are in Switzerland at a mushroom ritual in the new style.
Und dann ist auch eine Sache, die der Wasson gemacht hat, die er gar nicht wollte. Er ist eigentlich der Begründer eines modernen religiösen Kultes, nämlich des modernen, dezentralisierten Pilzkultes auf unserem Planeten. Zahlreiche Leute in allen Ländern dieser Welt treffen sich heutzutage in Ritualen, um Pilze einzunehmen. Und das, weil Wasson damals der Erste war, der das nächtliche Ritual der Mazateken beschrieben hat und der seine eigene Vision, die er durch die Pilze hatte, niedergeschrieben hat.
A night in the forest, inside a teepee or sweat lodge. It's the sharing of experience that matters. The modern ritual reinvents itself in a new setting, centered around the magic mushroom. It's against the law, but it happens anyway.
Wenn man diese Pilze nimmt, dann erlebt man wirklich sehr tiefe Gefühle von einer starken, intensiven Liebe zu sich selbst, zu anderen, zum Wald, zum Universum, natürlich vor allem zu den Pilzen. Und dann wird man irgendwann früher oder später wirklich von dem kosmischen Witz erfasst. Und ich sehe darin eigentlich die Hauptheilkraft. Denn wir lachen viel zu wenig und der Pilz ist ein guter Lehrer dafür.
This is another way to approach the mushroom, a purely scientific way. In Villingen, Switzerland, research into the physiology of consciousness is carried out with the help of a PET scanner. The volunteer has been given psilocybin, and the PET scanner reveals the effects it has on the brain. If the trip is experienced as positive, The effect on the brain is quite different from a bad trip.
Interessant ist, wenn Psilocybin eine mystisch positiv gefärbte Entgrenzung erzeugt, dass dann vor allem das Stirnhirn überaktiv ist. Und zusammen mit dem Stirnhirn werden auch andere Regionen wie die motorische Hirnrinde, die sensorische Hirnrinde, der Schläfenlappen und so weiter aktiviert. Diese Hirnregionen spielen immer noch mehr oder weniger geordnet zusammen. Sie sind nicht entkoppelt. Auch die Verbindungen zu den tiefen Hirnregionen, zu den Basalganglien sind erhalten. Und man könnte sagen, es werden bestimmte Teile mehr aktiviert. Umgekehrt ist bei einer angstvollen Ich-Entgrenzung ein völlig anderes Muster hervorgekommen aus unserer Forschung. Es zeigt sich nämlich, dass quasi das Großhirn, der Kortex, von den tiefen Strukturen, von den Basalganglien entkoppelt wird. Also das psychologische Leben vom Fragmentieren, Auseinanderfallen, widerspiegelt sich quasi auch in der Anatomie oder in der Physiologie.
The researcher isn't trying to unravel the mushroom's ability to produce mystical transcendence. The objective is very practical. The scanner is used to find out which medication is most effective for patients with mental disorders. The aim is to be able to pinpoint medication effectively rather than use full sedation. Psychoactive substances can simulate a schizophrenic condition. A PET scan reveals which parts of the brain are active during schizophrenic psychosis. Concrete information about the regions of the brain which are active leads to the development of more specific medication.
Gordon Wasson hat indirekt eine Bedeutung, insofern er natürlich die Psilocybin-Pilze wiederentdeckt hat und sie nach Europa gebracht hat. In der Folge die Struktur dieser Wirksubstanz in den Pilzen aufgeklärt werden konnte und das natürlich für uns ein einmaliger Hilfsstoff oder ein Werkzeug. Das Psilocybin erlaubt uns ja einmalig ganz spezifische Zustände zu erzeugen und die dann systematisch mit solchen neuen modernen Methoden zu untersuchen. Das ist also eine bedeutende Entdeckung auch für die biologische Grundlagenforschung.
Gordon Wasson with Albert Hofmann. Wasson had asked the chemist to isolate the active substance of the mushroom. Where others had failed, Hofmann, who also discovered LSD, succeeded. It was the discovery of psilocybin.
Hier ist dieses schöne Erinnerungsbild an Gordon Wasson, meinen lieben Freund. Und es hängt neben dem Modell der Substanz, die wir in den Pilzen gefunden haben. Das sind sogenannte Molekülmodelle, und die die Struktur dieser Stoffe darstellen. Und das ist dieses Psilocybin. Ich habe dieses Modell gemacht für die Publikationen, in denen dieser Stoff besprochen wird. Das kann ich jetzt leider, ihr könnt es wegnehmen, wenn ich es zeige. Die schwarzen Kugeln bedeuten Kohlenstoffatome. Die weißen Kugeln Wasserstoffatome. Grün ist Stickstoff, rot ist Sauerstoff und gelb ist Phosphor. Und so sieht diese Verbindung aus, dieses Psilocybin. Es ist auch verwandt mit dem LSD, das ich schon erwähnt habe. Dieser Teil ist genau dasselbe, der untere entscheidende Teil. Die sind identisch. Das war ja eine große Entdeckung, dass diese LSD zusammenhängt mit diesen mexikanischen Zauberdrogen.
Powdered psilocybin created new areas of interest for scientists. Hallucinogenic mushrooms were a major focus of the 1996 Conference for the Study of Consciousness in Heidelberg. The pioneers of consciousness research are still studying psilocybin, be they therapists, chemists, philosophers or physicians.
Ich habe mich betätigt auf dem Gebiet der bewährter Arzneipflanzen mit der Absicht, die wirksamen Prinzipien herauszuholen und die chemische Struktur aufzuklären. Es hat sich herausgestellt, und das ist das ganz sehr Wichtige, dass diese Stoffe LSD, Psilocybin, Ololiuqui, dass diese Stoffe eng chemisch verwandt sind mit Stoffen, die wir in unserem Gehirn haben. Psilocybin unterscheidet sich vom Serotonin, das ein Stoff, ein sogenannter Transmitter, der in unserem Gehirn vorkommt, notwendig ist für unser Denken und für unsere Gefühle, ist so nah verwandt, dass man also nur einen Sauerstoff verschieben muss, dann bekommt man aus dem Serotonin, aus dem Hirnwirkstoff, das Psilocybin. Diese Stoffe haben diese Möglichkeit, unser Bewusstsein zu verändern, weil sie so nah verwandt sind mit dem, was in unserem Gehirn vorkommt.
Here at Harvard University, you'll find the world's most comprehensive ethnomycological collection, whether your interest is natural science or the cultural history of mushrooms. The Tina and Gordon Wasson Collection. Wasson left his vast collection to Harvard's Botanical Museum in 1983. The passionate mushroom researcher had collected 4,000 items from all over the world. Important literature from diverse cultures, mushrooms of all kinds, archaeological artifacts and precious works of art, dried mushrooms, kitsch and curios. Wasson was fascinated by all mushrooms, hallucinogenic or not. He saw the world through mushroom-colored glasses, judging cultures as either mycophilic or mycophobic, that is, mushroom-loving or mushroom-hating. And he was a collector. He acquired valuable Japanese ivory miniatures called netsuke, erotic prints, even porcelain fertility symbols. His research expeditions to every continent are documented by thousands of slides and photographs. The collection includes more than 8,000 letters exchanged with scientists and writers from all over the world. He corresponded regularly with Claude Lévi-Strauss, Aldous Huxley and Agatha Christie. Often his research did not yield the desired result, but Wasson continued undeterred and followed up every clue. He was painstaking, disciplined and obsessed. After the death of his beloved wife, he immersed himself even more deeply in his work. Mushrooms were Wasson's vocation, never a duty. Knowledge as pleasure, understanding as enjoyment, gave his life shape.
And there was a steady stream of people who would come and visit. And he started sort of collaborating with professors, scholars in all sorts of different fields all over the world. And letters would come, or they would call up, or they would arrive, and he would meet with them for hours.
Again and again he felt drawn to Mexico. Here the mushroom cult has survived to this day. The spirit of the past lives on in the presence of the sacred mushroom. There is no other place like this. The ruins of Palenque are considered a precious secret by those who love mushrooms, as the Niños Santos grow nearby in abundance. Wasson was fascinated by Xochipilli, the Aztec god of love and flowers. He was the first to reveal that the motifs on the god's body were derived from the experience of taking hallucinogenic mushrooms. In this culture, blossoms are a metaphor for vision, and the butterfly is a messenger of love. The experience of love, the enchanted feeling of becoming one with the universe, is a psychedelic experience which has often been described. Xochipilli's posture points to this. He seems to be in awe, to have attained knowledge, a god of ecstasy. Human experience expressed in stone, an experience which Wasson and his companions came to know.
Ich habe meine Frau dann gefragt, was hast du gesehen, hast du erlebt jetzt bei dieser Sitzung mit Maria Sabina? Sagte sie, ja, ich habe so interessante, merkwürdige Figuren gesehen und Farben, das ist schwer zu beschreiben. Und wir gingen dann später anschließend nach dieser Expedition besuchten verschiedene Kirchen und da kamen wir in diese Kirche von Donatilla und beim Eingang in der Vorhalle hat meine Frau erstaunt, ja, das, was ich dir erklären wollte, das habe ich gesehen, hier ist es an der Wand. Genau diese Figuren, genau diese Zeichnungen, diese Farben habe ich in meinem Psilocybin-Rausch gesehen.
A church that looks like a psychedelic vision. This confirmed Wasson's assumption that magic mushrooms had strongly influenced Mesoamerican art because of the way they affected the spirit. He liked to call mushrooms theogenic, God-producing, rather than hallucinogenic. Seeing God, mystical experience, religious ecstasy, these motifs are not restricted to this part of the world. His Mexican experiences strengthened Wasson's belief that the mushroom had paved the way for religious belief in other cultures as well. For example, in ancient Greece, in the Eleusinian mysteries, rituals performed at the sanctuary of Demeter, or in the death and resurrection of Dionysus, the god of wine. Every citizen of standing joined at least once in the religious dance and dramas. To reveal the secrets of the mystery was punishable by death. But it is known that the participants drank a potion that induced ecstasy and powerful visions. Wasson was sure the potion contained hallucinogens. An antique vase decorated with ears of grain made him suspect the potion contained ergot, which is related to LSD.
Gordon knew about the Eleusinian mystery from his father, who was a minister, and so he knew that a potion was drunk and that something was seen, and he was hoping that it would have something to do with his work on Amanita muscaria and Soma. So in order to look into the Eleusinian mystery, he contacted me and proposed that we work together with Albert Hoffmann. Gordon would never have been satisfied unless it was a mushroom that was the potion. And it turned out that it was a fungus, and when the fungus turned out to be something that was recognizable as a mushroom, he was ecstatic. I remember when we saw the photograph that Albert sent us of the fruiting bodies of the ergot, and to the naked eye it looked like a mushroom. He was so excited about that.
Wasson also found religious virtues in the fly agaric toadstool, or Soma, as it's called in Vedic song. Soma was a god for Indo-Germanic peoples, but also the name of a hallucinogenic plant. Wasson maintained that Soma and the fly agaric toadstool were one and the same. He saw evidence for this in the Indian Rig Veda, one of the oldest scriptures known to humankind. Wasson devoted himself to Soma research for years, and he encountered toadstools everywhere in the process. In Africa, in cave paintings in Siberia, with Siberian shamans who still use it to this day. The toadstool, which we consider toxic, has a history as a hallucinogenic which is as old as humankind. The tree of knowledge, the forbidden fruit, both could in fact be the toadstool.
The Wasson theory of the origins of religions in ecstatic states catalyzed by the ingestion of shamanic inebriants is in many respects analogous to Darwin's theory of natural selection to explain the historical fact of evolution. Wasson explained the historical fact of the similarities between different religions and why they have these common motifs of the world tree, or the tree of knowledge, of learning, of good and evil, or the fruit of the tree of life, the sacrament, the other world, etc. And so in many respects he was the 20th century Darwin. It's often asked if these mushrooms have a place in the modern world, or if this is just an aspect of archaic life that should be left, perhaps studied and left in peace. But Gordon Wasson said in the paper I referred to, The Hallucinogenic Fungi of Mexico in 1961, that perhaps we don't need the divine mushrooms any longer, or do we need them more than ever? That was his rhetorical question.
The late psychotherapist Hans-Karl Leuner was in no doubt. After decades of experiment with psilocybin, he managed to get limited use of the drug declared legal for therapeutic purposes.
Ich habe deshalb schon in 70er Jahren ein Forschungsprogramm aufgelegt, in dem ich bestimmt nur diese Patienten aufgenommen habe, die nicht behandelbar waren. Bei dieser Studie damals waren es 127 Patienten, davon in 80% Non-Responder auf die Psychotherapie, und aus diesen 80% wieder waren es nachher nach Abschluss der psycholytischen Behandlung 72%, die auf die Therapie angesprochen, auf unsere Therapie mit Hilfe von Psilocybin, wir haben dann Psilocybin gewählt aus bestimmten Gründen, haben sie angesprochen und haben gute bis sehr gute Besserungen erreicht.
The first psychological experiments with psychedelics were conducted with prison inmates in the United States in 1961. Their author was one of the most controversial leaders of the psychedelic revolution. He was then a professor of psychology at Harvard, and the man whom Wasson had refused to take to see Maria Sabina, Timothy Leary.
Besides the prison work, then we also did studies with normal people, say graduate students, we developed a questionnaire format. And the idea was a neutral but warm and supportive setting, not a clinic and not a therapy type of thing, and not an experimental thing, where we learned a lot from those studies. And also then Tim Leary particularly provided a psilocybin experience for a lot of people with from the arts, musicians and artists and painters and poets and writers, people from New York who he wanted to ask for what insights they had about this, what the nature of this experience is, and what it could contribute to expansion of consciousness through creativity. And those studies were continued, later on with other people, and they were all done with psilocybin. LSD didn't really come into the picture until several years later.
I do also know that I think he was quite uncomfortable with Leary and that whole scene in terms of the mushrooms, because to him it was also sacred. And it wasn't something, he had real difficulty, I think, with people who were substance abusers, who took drugs that way. He could understand why, but he felt that people should have control and not abuse the drugs and what was there. So I think that was very upsetting to him, actually.
Despite these reservations, 13 years after his death, Gordon Wasson's vision of the mystical potential of magic mushrooms is more popular than ever. Those who use the mushrooms today no longer have a political mission, as they did in the 60s, but see the mushroom as a natural drug, a source of spiritual experience.
I use those drugs not for fun. I use those plants not for fun. In a way, they are spiritual, so I, how do you say that? I respect them, and I try to learn from the experience or from the lessons the mushroom gives. Psychedelics come back. In the 60s, they experienced them but didn't know what to do with it. And now in the 90s, I see young people, but also older people, that they feel more how to integrate it in their normal daily life.
Even with the rave generation, shrooms or psilos have arrived. They're being freely mixed with other drugs. With ecstasy, for example, a practice known as candy flipping. They guarantee a massive weekend trip with stunning images and soundscapes.
Die Halluzinogene sind zwar nicht süchtig machen, sie sind nicht giftig. Und das verleitet dann, da sagt man, ja gut, das ist ja herrlich, da kann man das einfach nehmen. Aber sie sind deswegen außerordentlich gefährlich, weil sie ja auf unser Bewusstsein wirken. Und die Gefahr ist nicht, dass man sich vergiftet, nicht, dass man süchtig wird. Die Gefahr ist, dass man dieses unerhörte, ganz neuartige, fremdartige Erleben nicht integrieren kann, dass man dann psychischen Schaden erleidet. Und diese Gefahr ist sehr groß. Und deswegen bräuchte das eine gewisse Reife, eine lange Vorbereitung. Die Indianer sind ja vorbildlich. Sie beten, sie fasten vorher. Sie nehmen das nur unter ganz bestimmten Bedingungen, unter bestimmter Leitung. Sonst, sagen sie, macht der Pilz wahnsinnig oder er tötet.
Today's techno kids approach the mushroom irreverently, anarchically, playfully, just as they approach computers, creating escapes in cyberspace.
When we see a mushroom growing in the pasture, that is not really the whole story. Underneath the surface of the ground, there is a huge network of interconnected mycelium, as finer than a human hair, covering hundreds of thousands of miles with clamp connections every few millimeters, very similar to the human brain.
The internet has given another boost to the popularity of magic mushrooms.
And I am very struck by the similarity between the mushroom's strategy of growth and morphogenesis, the human brain's growth and morphogenesis, and the growth and structure of the internet. And it's very interesting that the people who are building the internet are young people, psychedelically sophisticated people, many of whom are very familiar with the visions and insights that the mushroom brings. So, in my opinion, the mushroom's impact on culture is not limited to ancient Mexico or the Paleolithic of Europe. The mushroom is continuously evolving a relationship with human beings, passing ideas from its own vast database into the human world in the form of new inventions, new technologies, and new forms of social organization. In a way, the mushroom shows us a way to live on the earth that can involve tremendous connectivity, tremendous intelligence, but complete integration into the natural world. And really, Wasson was the critical human factor in all of this. Had it not been for his work and Albert Hofmann's work, the world would be a much poorer place.
Gordon Wasson, the distinguished mushroom scholar, the respectable banker, was at the same time unwillingly the man who popularized magic mushrooms, the founding father of the psychedelic movement.
The story you're about to hear is a story about transformation. It's about spiritual awakening and self-activation. It's about becoming aware of the mental prisons we keep ourselves in. It's a story about the power of medicinal plant medicine, and a look into the life of a man who found a clearer purpose and a path to enlightenment with the help of these medicinal plants. Reverend Gabriel Castillo is the founder of Finally Detached.
So the mushrooms are the gateway for us to accept ourselves, to see who we are fully. And as we can do that, the mushrooms make whatever we wish to create very easy. And the reason why is because there's something deeper at play. Our healing of our egoic drives, that's just the beginning. That's why the masses are starting to feel it. It's starting to become a thing, right? Especially therapeutically. They're starting to realize, wow, there's healing benefits to this.
The therapeutic and healing benefits of psychedelic mushrooms are becoming widely known. The Center for Brain Health at Florida Atlantic University says the data is strong. From depression to PTSD to cluster headaches, psilocybin is showing promise in combating these conditions. At Finally Detached, Reverend Gabriel uses these medicinal plants to great success in helping journeyers connect with a deeper sense of self.
After the first ceremony, I was doing really well. And
Following Chris's first ceremony, he was on a better, clearer path. But like many of us may have experienced personally, Chris found that what was once a clear road ahead was again becoming fogged and uncertain. Chris came back and told Reverend Gabriel that he was beginning to have suicidal thoughts. That's when Chris knew what he needed again was to continue on the path the mushroom was helping set for him.
I want to reconnect with the mushroom like the first ceremony, where they kind of were showing me, right? And then not pushing me in there, but just showing me, these are the things. I don't know if I wasn't in the right headspace, if I wasn't, I don't know, but this time I need to go through those doors.
People aren't here to get high, okay? They're not here looking to get a fix or to run away from anything or to dull anything. They're coming here to face it. So it takes courage. It takes courage. And a lot of people are scared to face what they know that they are because there's a lot of darkness there. Once you accept that, you become full. And the duality of life, this good and bad, becomes experience. And then you can just accept and move, and then your energy's free. There's nothing holding you down. In this process, we're helping them detach from themselves, all their dogmas, everything they thought they knew, right? So if they come as an empty slate with low expectations in terms of not expecting anything out of it, and just laying a nice foundation and just going into it saying, show me what I need to see, let me feel what I need to feel, they're going to get through some work. I've approached it first to work with just everyone who came, right? But I realized that some just want to experience a psychedelic experience, and others really are at the end and they're searching for something deeper. The ones that feel that there may be, that all of this is some sort of an illusion, it's the ones that can't find meaning or purpose in the meaning that others live for. It's the rejects, it's the weirdos, it's the outcasts, it's the ones that feel abandoned and alone even though they have many people around them. How do you get to that point of being able to control your mind? How do you reprogram your mind, right? Because you know something's wrong. You know what you've been taught may be not the best for you to get ahead. So how do you erase what has been there? And how do you lay new foundations, right? That's what this work really does. And for those who can listen and then move past that and to get through themselves, there's much, much more there.
I don't want to keep revisiting it every week, spilling my guts of all the problems that I'm having. I want to move on with my life. I'm ready.
Typically, on the check-in, after we're done the journey, find that individuals feel much better. They feel good. They found what they needed to find. A lot of them have, it was so simple because what they were looking for was themselves. They were looking for something, and little did they know that that something and whatever they were looking for, right? Trauma from relieving from an ex-wife's passing, right? Or from the passing of a husband, or to get off of Adderall, or to whatever it is, they find that the answer to that lies within them because there was a trauma or some type of trigger or something in the past that led to that, right? That keeps them so attached to it. So it's really being able to, the medicine helps them to step outside of themselves, right? So they can literally see what they've been through without being in it. So when they can just see it and let it play and not be emotionally attached to it, they're able to process it. And once they're able to process it, it just leaves. It's them. They've lived it, so they transcended it. They realize they are it. It's not something that we're healing and getting rid of or running away from. It's just they accept who they are. What was the journey for you? Reflecting on it.
It wasn't rough. It was rough, but it wasn't rough. It wasn't like my last journey where I just felt like I was on a merry-go-round that I couldn't get off. This journey didn't feel like that.
So when approaching the journey, setting skills are very important. So what's your mindset going into it, right? What I have set up for the journeyer is an outside ceremony location. Candles around. I like to give the journeyer the option and to help them feel that they're outside yet protected inside as well. I just have to be there to help make sure he's safe in the process. Yeah, I really enjoyed this location because the water, the feeling of the water, the nature that's on it, beautiful trees. I know he had a longing for trees. He's gonna have to make the choice and to walk forward into his healing and doing that, whatever's necessary for him to do that. And he showed up, so he's on that path. But sometimes this is the easy part, just showing up. The hard part is, okay, what are you doing tomorrow morning, right?
I was gonna say, if I can get past this, but I will get past this. When I get past this, I'm still processing it. And even when I leave here today, I don't know that I'll be fully like, I gotta process that. But no, man, if you can close it this much, there's no reason that you can't completely slam it and walk away. And that's it. There's no reason that I can't do that. Just have to find my way to that. And I feel like I'm on the journey. It's not an overnight thing. It's difficult. Probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But I feel like if I continue on with this, if I continue to work,
with someone like myself. It doesn't have to be me, but when you approach this medicine work, you want to do it right. And the fear of a bad trip, that's a reality, that's real, because bad trips do happen. It's just how skilled is your facilitator at helping you navigate a bad trip into the best trip that you've ever had.
If you or someone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts or crisis, please reach out immediately to the Suicide Prevention Lifeline by dialing 988. Their website is 988lifeline.org. Their services are free and confidential.